Week 12 of TXN Sports World NFL Friday is on the air. Hello, friends. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher and Michael Bullock. Week 12 of the NFL season. It started yesterday on Thanksgiving. And, well, let's just say 2 of the 3 games went according to plan. The other one, not so much. And the one that did not go according to plan, the Green Bay Packers upsetting the Detroit Lions 29-22 at Ford Field in Detroit yesterday. And then on top of that, the Dallas Cowboys defeating the Washington Commanders 45-10. San Francisco 49ers defeating the Seattle Seahawks 31-13 to close it out. And then earlier today, to the delight of good old MF Michael Fletcher, his Miami Dolphins easy win over the New York Jets, 34-13. It did come with a price, though. They did lose one of their star defensive players, Jalen Phillips, Achilles. I think we all know where that's heading, unfortunately. But yeah, they all pretty much went according to plan. But the only one that did not was Detroit. I mean, that was a stunner. I mean, we all had Detroit winning that game, but Green Bay, they came to play yesterday, and man alive, I mean, this is a team that if they make the playoffs, you don't want to see them, because this right here, if they keep playing like they are right now and they make it, good luck. That's all I'm going to say. This is a team you do not want to see. I mean, Jordan Love, 22 of 32, 268 yards, had 3 touchdowns in that one. Christian Watson, a receiving touchdown, 94 yards. Reed had a receiving touchdown. Kraft had a receiving touchdown. Rashawn Gary alone had 3 sacks. And we also had a scoop and a score, which I consider the turning point of that particular game right there. Jared Goff, 29 of 40. He had a very good game. 29 of 44, 332 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Montgomery had a rushing touchdown, 71 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 95 yards. Raymond, 90 yards. Sam Laporta and Josh Reynolds receiving touchdowns. Defense, unfortunately, didn't do much of anything in that one, but a big win for the Green Bay Packers. And next week, and of course for next week, the Green Bay Packers, in a game that just got a little more interesting, they'll be welcoming the Kansas City Chiefs to town to Lambeau next week on a Sunday night. So, matter of fact, their next 2 games are primetime games. So this is a chance to see if this team. We'll see how good this team continues to be. For the Detroit Lions, though, they got to go on the road and take on the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome. So that's next for them. Washington and Dallas. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys, easy win. Of course, the headline of the game yesterday, Deron Bland setting a new NFL record with his 5th pick 6 of the season. I think we might have a Defensive Player of the Year candidate on our hands, guys. Dak Prescott, 22 of 32, 331 yards, 4 touchdowns. Tony Pollard, a rushing touchdown, 79 yards. Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, and Kevontae Turpin with receiving touchdowns. Owen Dowdle also had one. Bland with the pick 6. Defense recorded a combined 4 sacks. Hankins had 2 sacks. Micah Parsons had 1.5 sacks. Fowler had a half a sack. An absolutely dominant performance by the Dallas Cowboys, in which they outscored Washington in the 4th quarter alone, 25-0. Sam Howell, 28 of 44, 300 yards. He threw a pick. That was the pick 6, obviously. Howell had a rushing touchdown as well. Robinson, 53 yards rushing. Curtis Samuel, 100 yards receiving. And those were the takeaways from that one. The Washington Commanders, in their next game, will be squaring off with good old MF's Miami Dolphins. Miami coming to Washington next week. As for the Dallas Cowboys, well, Thursday night, they will be welcoming the Seattle Seahawks for an interesting Thursday night game, to say the very least, on Amazon Prime Video. San Francisco 49ers, keeping up with, you remember they started 5-0, then they went on a 3-game losing streak, but since then they have bounced back in a big way. I mean, absolutely dominant, and yeah, they're looking like that dominant team again. Brock Purdy, 209 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Christian McCaffrey, 114 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Deebo Samuel actually had a rushing touchdown. Ayuk had a receiving touchdown. Defense, man, the defense feasted last night, I'll tell you. 6 sacks for the defense. Gibson had a sack. Nick Bosa had 2 sacks. Hargrave had 1.5 sacks. Armstead had a sack, and Givens had half a sack. Thomas had an interception. All-around dominant win for the Niners. Geno Smith, 180 yards passing with an interception. Charbonnet, 47 yards rushing. Jackson, the only real highlight for Seattle was that insane one-handed catch by Jackson Smith and Jigba. He only had 2 catches for 41 yards, but boy, howdy, that one-handed catch, that was something. That was a sight to see. Brooks had a interception and 1 sack for the defense. Taylor had it, and San Francisco. And next week, gentlemen, it is the NFC Championship game rematch. San Francisco, Philadelphia, next Sunday, 4:25. And Seattle, of course, like I mentioned earlier, they're playing Dallas on Thursday night in Dallas on Amazon Prime Video. And last but not least, good old MF's Michael Fletcher's Miami Dolphins. Impressive win over the New York Jets, including what happened at the end of the first half when Tim Boyle threw up a Hail Mary, intercepted by Javon Holland, and Holland took it to the house. Turning point, to say the very least. And I swear I could hear a big old Pat McAfee like, let's go from MF on that one when he saw that. All right. Tua Tagovailoa, not the best game. 243 yards. He threw a touchdown, but he threw 2 interceptions. Raheem Mostert, 2 rushing touchdowns, 94 yards. Jalen Waddle, 114 yards receiving. Tyreek Hill, 102 yards receiving and a touchdown. Defense, oh my goodness, defense. They balled today. I mean, 7 sacks for the Dolphin defense. Jalen Phillips had a sack. Christian Wilkins had 2 sacks. Ogba had 1.5 sacks. Sealer had a sack. Davis had half a sack. Holland and Baker had interceptions, including that pick 6 by Holland at the end of the first half. Tim Boyle, 179 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Garrett Wilson, the only bright spot for the Jets, had a receiving touchdown. DJ Reed had an interception. Thomas had half a sack. The defense had 2 sacks. Huff had 1 sack. Clemens and Thomas, half a sack each. Eccles had an interception. Reed had an interception. And that was pretty much it for the New York Jets. The Miami Dolphins will now meet the Washington Commanders in Washington next week. As for the Jets, the Jets will be hosting the Atlanta Falcons next week. So that's the story there. According to plan, like I said, but that Detroit game was the only real shocker for me yesterday. So, I mean, everything else went according to plan. Dallas dominant, San Francisco dominant, Miami dominant, and that was pretty much it. And not much left for me to say on this. So, good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. Turkey Day. Well, even though it wasn't quite Turkey Day for you boys, Black Friday, but still, you celebrated the ravishing play, and then I know you did.
Yeah, so I want to say normally that for definitely the 3 Thanksgiving games, it was status quo except for the Green Bay game. As a matter of fact, you got to give a lot of credit to Matt LaFleur, to to Love and to the boys, man, because they actually turned back the clock and actually found the fountain of youth. This was what, the Green Bay performance was very traditional on Thanksgiving. I don't know what it is about Thanksgiving, but they always owned the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving Day, and they found that they found the magic. I don't know if it was because of sometimes this past year, we always talk about, is Love the guy? Is Love the guy? Is he going to have, when is he going to get out of the shadow of Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff? Yesterday, on a nationally televised stage in front of the whole world, he not only got out of the shadow of Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love leaped out of that shadow of Aaron Rodgers. So he absolutely had the game of his career yesterday, without a doubt. Best performance by Jordan Love, best called game by Matt LaFleur. Like, this was without a doubt the most complete performance by the Green Bay Packers all season, of all times, to have the most complete performance. It came on Turkey Day against a bitter rival in the Detroit Lions. You could not have written a better script if you're a cheesehead. Now, if you're Detroit, you're thinking in the back of your mind, how did this happen? Why did this happen? It's simple. You turned the ball over too many times. You left the rock on the turf too many times. Whenever you do that, you make those mistakes. Eventually, they're going to come back to bite you in the Turkish. And that's exactly what happened. So, obviously, Detroit's got to bounce back. Green Bay, hey, if they keep that going, who knows? They're right now on the outside looking in, but you never know. NFL, any given Sunday, that could have been their signature moment where they might have just turned everything around. You hope, if you're a Packer fan, that maybe this was the moment where everything now goes their way and now they're making a run at the playoffs. So we'll see. As for Dallas, good as advertised, Super Bowl favorites. Yes, I know. Wait, pump the brakes, Mike. That was the Washington Commanders. Save it. I don't want to hear it. What Dallas has been doing since they lost that close game against Philadelphia, 5 games in a row now, they've won their game by over double digits. They've won by 2 to 3 touchdowns in the last 5 games. Offensively, they look amazing. Defensively, they're getting better. This is one of those teams that is lying under the weeds. And I know a lot of people saying, oh, but Philadelphia, oh, but the 49ers. It's time we say that the Cowboys have a shot. I'm not calling them Super Bowl favorites. I'm not going there. But I'm putting them in that tier with the Niners, with the Eagles, and they are a force to be reckoned with. You do not want to see Dallas in the postseason, ladies and gentlemen, and that's exactly what I'm going to say about that. Now, San Fran, they're just dominant. This is exactly what we thought we were going to see all season long. When they started out, we're like, there's no team that's going to stop them. But the injury bug hit at the worst possible time. They lost that 3 in a row. A lot of people jumped off that bandwagon of the 49ers. I'll tell you right now, a lot of people are jumping back on that bandwagon, and they're like, you know what? We never left the first time around. We knew that 3-game loss was a blip. That was nothing. That was a mistake. If you're a 49er fan, get the musket, shoot everyone who started doubting you since day one. Because if I was you, I'd be shooting each and every one of them. You didn't trust us. You didn't believe us. Get the hell off the bandwagon. We don't need no bandwagoners on our ride. Nope. Not a chance in hell. So the Niners are playing the way that they've been playing. They've been dominating. They've been amazing. Really nothing more to say about that. Now. Now I have my fun. Miami, you made me so happy today. We were giving out Black Friday discounts all over the New York Jets today. I know. A lot of people are like, yeah, but are you worried about Jalen Phillips getting hurt? Dude, I'm hurt. I'm heartbroken. T's and P's to Jalen Phillips. Thoughts and prayers are with you, brother. Once I saw that thing go, I was like, oh no. I knew instantly what happened. I was getting texts immediately. They're like, was that the Achilles of Jalen that went? And I was like, yeah. He popped the Achilles. I knew instantly. Everybody knew instantly that Jalen Phillips' Achilles went. And that is heartbreaking, man. This guy's gone through so much for the team. He was a disruptor. He was a problem. When he was off the field, Miami's defense did suffer a little bit. I hope we can bounce back. I hope we can rejuvenate. We looked great throughout the game today. Now, obviously, it wasn't the perfect game. Tua, the turnovers, you got to stop it. You got to stop that. That pick six, no excuse. That's inexcusable. You cannot do that. You know that. You're better than that. We were not really feeling that one. That actually opened the door for the New York Jets, if you think about it. Because remember, it was 10-0. That pick six happened. That made it 10-6. If we did not get that touchdown, that Javon Holland 99-yarder, that Hail Mary fail on the Jet part that gave us that touchdown, that's a 14-point swing, boys. That swung the game into the advantage of the Miami Dolphins. And obviously, Miami, a great second-half team, did what they had to do. Finally, the running game woke up, looked better than ever. Obviously, Savon Ahmed got the 2 touchdowns. Oh, by the way, now leads all running backs in touchdowns. Now, I think he's like 1 or 2 ahead now of Christian McCaffrey. So they keep going at it with that chase. Tyreek Hill still going after the 2,000 yards. He's got 1,266 yards receiving now. He's well on his way to the 2,000 mark. Waddle with a big game. Tua, like I said, other than the 2 picks, solid performance by him. And the defense, Vic Fangio, all the negativity that he's getting now, he's getting all the praise. The last 2 weeks alone, he won the game against the Raiders. He had a perfection, almost a near perfect game today against the New York Jets. Obviously, that 1 touchdown to Garrett Wilson is the only kind of blemish on the record for the Dolphin D today. But without a doubt, dominating performance, exactly what the doctor ordered. Now we're going into that stretch of the schedule where Miami could, if everything goes according to plan, could wrap up the AFC East. You got Washington, Tennessee, and then another game against the Jets. All 3 games are all winnable for the Miami Dolphins. All 3 games, Miami should be heavy favorites in those games. Then if they get the job done, if they do what they need to do, win those games, and then maybe some good juju coming out, maybe Buffalo loses to Philadelphia, Buffalo loses to Kansas City, by the time we play Dallas in Miami, we might already have the AFC Eastern Division title wrapped up. That's how good this could go. If everything goes according to plan. Obviously, we'll talk about the rest later on tonight, but that's the hope. So that when we do gotta face Dallas, Baltimore, and then Buffalo at the end, we don't have to worry about the AFC Eastern Division. We'll have that wrapped up. Then we're just worrying about position. Getting 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the playoffs, at least we'll be guaranteed one playoff game at Hard Rock Stadium. Oh, by the way, they're undefeated at home. They have not lost yet. So, obviously, good weekend for me. I enjoyed it. I love today. Yes, I was celebrating Turkey Day, the ravishing one yesterday. And then I loved putting a little bit of the Black Friday discounts up on the heads of the New York Jets. So today I had a good, let's just say these last 48 hours have been glorious, to say the very least. Michael Bullock, it's all yours, bro. I definitely had an enjoyable Turkey Day. What says you, bro?
I think we all had a great Turkey Day yesterday with this great action that we had. Yeah, I mean, yes, three of the 4 games. I mean, we got right except for the Detroit game, and I'll tell you what. I mean, Green Bay. I mean, they've been playing so well lately, and yeah, I mean, all of a sudden they're in contention, and like you said, this is a team I don't think anybody would want to play if they get to the playoffs. But we'll see what happens with all that. But I mean, on the big stage of Turkey Day yesterday, they they balled out and made a statement to the Detroit Lions. And for Detroit, this was I think their 7th straight loss on Thanksgiving Day. I mean, that's not good for them. So I do expect them to bounce back, but we'll see what happens. But right now, yeah, as of yesterday, it just didn't look good for them. And then, of course, I mean, it's what we expected Dallas to dominate Washington like they did, and the same way with the 49ers dominating the Seattle Seahawks. So, and then today, of course, with the Dolphins dominating the Jets. I mean, yes, they won, but they may have lost Jalen. I mean, they probably lost Jalen Phillips for the season. That's a huge loss defensively. I mean, I hope for your sake, Fletch, that the Dolphins can overcome that. I mean, not just especially on the defensive side of the ball, but we'll see what happens. But all in all, it was a great Turkey Day yesterday. So, with that being said, let's move right on along and talk about the Sunday slate of games.
And Monday, of course, and Monday as well. And here we go. Start off the Week 12 Sunday slate with an NFC South divisional matchup featuring the New Orleans Saints squaring off against the Atlanta Falcons from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Joe Davis, Daryl Moose Johnston, Pam Oliver, they will have the call for that one. And New Orleans opening up as a 1.5-point favorite. First meeting of the season between these two. New Orleans leads the regular season series 54-53. The Saints have won 3 meetings in a row with Atlanta. They swept last year, including winning in Atlanta 27-26. Matter of fact, the Saints have won the last 5 meetings in Atlanta. Atlanta hasn't beaten New Orleans at home since 2017. That was a 20-17 final. So here we go, boys. Let's dive right on in to the remaining action here. Well, okay. The records are ugly, but first place in the NFC South entering December will be on the line Sunday afternoon. There's still a lot of football to go. The teams will meet again in New Orleans in the regular season finale. But this game could be a turning point, with the Falcons going back to Desmond Ridder at quarterback after losing 3 straight games, and New Orleans winning 2 of its last 3. That's just life in the NFL's most unpredictable division the last 2 seasons, where it's entirely possible the division winner will end up with an under 500 record for the second year in a row. Last season, Tampa Bay won the division at 8-9. Saints defense will force at least 2 turnovers from Ridder. Saints broke their streak of forcing a turnover in every game in their loss to the Vikings prior to their bye, but they'll start a new streak with the Falcons switching back to Ridder this week. Ridder has fumbled 7 times this season and has had 2 multi-interception games. With Marshawn Lattimore out, Alontae Taylor will get his first career interception as one of those turnovers. Saints running back Alvin Kamara is the only running back with 50 catches this season. He has 4 seasons with 60-plus catches, tied with San Francisco's Christian McCaffrey for the most among active running backs, and he would become the 4th back with 5 60-catch seasons since 1990. The X factor? It's Desmond Ridder. The Saints are too good defending the run. They rank first in EPA allowed per design carry. For Atlanta to get by without Ridder excelling in the pass game. The Saints defense allows the 8th fewest opponent passing yards a game. Ridder has averaged 12.2 fantasy points a game as a starter so far in his career. All 6 times the Saints have faced a team that currently has a losing record, the game went under the total. FPI likes New Orleans here. 57% going with the New Orleans Saints. I'm going with New Orleans as well. Close game. I'm going to say 24-20. New Orleans defeats Atlanta and puts a little bit of a stranglehold in that crazy NFC South. So I got New Orleans winning 24-20. MF, your thoughts? New Orleans and Atlanta to kick off the Sunday slate.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with New Orleans as well. I think Alvin Kamara will definitely run a lot more better, and I think the quarterback play will be a little better for New Orleans. I'm not as confident about Desmond Ridder. I think he's going to have a little bit of a bad performance here, especially I think Atlanta's just desperate. They're just trying anything now, knowing that their backs are literally up against the wall, even though whoever wins this game actually will claim first place in that division, which is shocking to say the very least. But then again, that's how bad the division has been all season long. So give me New Orleans to win it, especially at home. Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
The game's in Atlanta, by the way.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm not as confident with Atlanta, especially with Desmond Ridder back, but I like what I've seen from New Orleans, and yeah, I'm gonna go with the New Orleans Saints to win this one. I think they'll go into Atlanta and handle their business there. So give me the Saints to win this one. So onward, Florio.
We go from the NFC South to what is without a doubt the best division in the NFL right now, the AFC North. This is our number 3 game of the week on our side of the ledger. The Pittsburgh Steelers squaring off against the Cincinnati Bengals, Paycor Stadium, formerly Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati. You can find this game over on CBS, and I believe Iron Eagle's crew is working this one. Yes, it is. Iron Eagle, Charles Davis, Evan Washburn. First meeting between these two rivals. Pittsburgh leads the all-time series 66-39. And they split last year, both teams winning on the road. So Pittsburgh won in Cincinnati last year, 23-20 in overtime. Cincinnati last beat Pittsburgh at home in 2021. That was a 41-10 beatdown. MF, started with you. Our number 3 game of the week, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Pittsburgh, tough luck, lost to Cleveland. But for Cincinnati, they now have to begin life without Joe Burrow. It's Jake Browning's time now.
It is Jake Browning's time, and you kind of have to understand. And not only that, but remember, Matt Canada also got fired during the week. So now you got a different offensive coordinator taking over it for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now this is now Kenny Pickett's moment. Now we need to see you shine better than ever before. We need to see you represent. Can you do it under that pressure, under those lights? Can you deliver in the clutch? You got no Joe Burrow on the other side. Normally, any other time, I would say Cincinnati wins this game. But because of that, because of the unknown, I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to find a way to get the win here and win this game. They need this. This is a must win for Pittsburgh. You're holding one of the 3 wild card spots in the NFL. Sorry, I had a pop up. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers to win the game as well. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, I mean, the Bengals basically start life without Joe Burrow. Browning, it's his team now, and yeah, Pittsburgh firing their offensive coordinator. I mean, not liking what they're seeing as of late, and yeah, so I am gonna go. Yeah, any other time, I would go. I would go with the Cincinnati Bengals, but because of the unknown with Browning and what we're going to expect from him, I have to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. So, give me Pittsburgh to win. So, what's yours, Florio?
Both teams enter Sunday's game looking for their offensive identities. The Bengals are adjusting to Jake Browning as their starting quarterback after Joe Burrow's season-ending wrist injury. Steelers fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada on Tuesday after the team ranked 28th in the NFL in offensive points a game at 15. Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett will have multiple passing touchdowns for the second time in his career. Changing offensive coordinator sometimes has a way of jump-starting an offense. With quarterbacks coach Mike Sullivan, who is close with Pickett, calling plays, Pickett has an opportunity to show he can be an NFL quarterback against a Bengal team that ranks near the bottom of the league in passing defense, allowing 284 yards a game through the air in its last 3 games. Steelers are 6-4 this season despite being outgained in every single game. They are the 20th team to be outgained in each of their first 10 games of a season, and they are the only one to do so with a winning record. The X factor is Cincinnati's run defense. With Joe Burrow out for the season, neither team should be able to have much success on offense. The bad news for the Bengals, their run defense has been porous, ranking 29th in EPA allowed per designed carry. Pittsburgh ranks 28th in points a game, 28th in total yards a game, 280, and 31st in passing yards a game, 170. Pickett has averaged 10 fantasy points a game this season. Carolina's Bryce Young with 11, the Jets' Zach Wilson 10.2, and Atlanta's Desmond Ridder at 12.2 have higher per game averages. Bengals are 0-3 outright and against the spread in division games this season, and they are 1-5 outright and against the spread in conference games. The FPI, oh boy, we got another close one here, guys. 51% going with Pittsburgh by an average of 0.5 points. That's how close this is. But I'm going with Pittsburgh as well. My final score, 23-16. Pittsburgh defeats Cincinnati. So, not much more to say on that one. And now we move on to our game of the week. I think going into this season, none of us expected this to be our game of the week, but nonetheless, here it is. It's a battle for first place. First place in the AFC South to the winner of this one. The Jacksonville Jaguars squaring off against the Houston Texans, NRG Stadium in Houston. Second meeting this year between these two. On the call for this one will be Andrew Catalan, Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, and AJ Ross. I forgot to mention when it comes to that last game, Pittsburgh opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. As far as this one is concerned, Jacksonville opening up as a 1.5-point favorite. These two teams met earlier this season. It was back in week number, I believe it was 3. And the Houston Texans went into Jacksonville and made themselves at home, manhandling Jacksonville 37-17, and added to their series lead. They now lead this series 29-14, including that win in Jacksonville. But remember, Jacksonville won in Houston last year in a rout, 31-3. Houston's last win at home over Jacksonville was in 2021. That was a 30-16 final. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, come on in. Our game of the week on our side of the ledger. First place in the AFC South to the winner. Jacksonville looking to even the score with Houston after Houston came into their house and embarrassed them in week number 3. Whereas Houston looks to sweep the season series once again. I mean, they've been doing this quite a lot lately. They've done it. They did it 4 straight years from 2018 to 2021. They do it here. We're looking at the 5th time in 6 years it happens. So Michael Bullock, come on in. Let's get your thoughts on this one. Jacksonville and Houston, first place in the AFC South to the winner. Game of the week.
Yeah, I mean, going into the season, I mean, if you had this game as our game of the week here, I would have said no freaking way. I mean, especially with Houston, with the way they've been over the past few years, but give Houston credit. They are literally hanging around. CJ Stroud, I mean, I gotta say right now, he's the odds. He's got to be the favorite to be the offensive rookie of the year with what he's done. I mean, everybody keeps wondering, will they find their franchise quarterback? I think they got it here in Stroud. And yeah, I mean, and Jacksonville, they've been doing what we've expected of them. So this is a tough one to call, but I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this game. But if the Houston Texans do win, I would not at all be surprised. But I got the Jaguars winning. It's yours, Florio.
If the Texans win this game, they would tie Jacksonville atop the AFC South, but would have the tiebreaker. Double head-to-head. One key element to this showdown is how Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence will perform. Lawrence has struggled against the Texans, going 1-4 in his career with 7 interceptions to 4 touchdown passes. The Jaguars' struggles against the Texans go beyond Lawrence, though, as Houston has dominated Jacksonville, winning 16 out of their last 19 games. The Texans and Jaguars will combine for more than 800 yards of offense. The Texans have averaged 486 yards a game in their last 3 games. And while the Jaguars haven't been that explosive, they did put up 404 yards in the first meeting. Houston rookie quarterback CJ Stroud hasn't thrown for fewer than 336 yards in the team's 3-game winning streak, while Lawrence is coming off his best game of the season, 262 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 2 rushing touchdowns against the Tennessee Titans. We have a big strength-on-strength matchup here, with CJ Stroud against the Jaguars' zone coverage. Jacksonville plays zone at the 5th highest rate, 67%, and has allowed the 4th lowest QBR in those looks. But Stroud has the best QBR in the league against zone coverage this season. The X factor is Texans wide receiver Tank Dell. He has emerged as a real difference maker, and his early season open score, he ranked 6th best in the metric entering week 11, has paid off in production. Dell has 22 catches for 319 yards over his last 3 games. Stroud and Dell have connected for 659 yards this season. This is the most by any rookie receiver tandem in the first 10 games of a season in league history. Jaguars defense gives up the 9th most fantasy points a game to quarterbacks. Texans have covered 4 of the last 5 meetings. Since 2018, the Texans are 10-1 outright and 8-3 against the spread against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The FPI, though, likes Jacksonville, 57%, by an average of 2.5 points. But with all due respect to the FPI and with all due respect to Michael Bullock, I respectfully disagree with you, sir. I have the Houston Texans winning this game. I believe in this team. I love what I've seen from this team. It's the most fun I've had watching this team, and I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years or so. Not since the J.J. Watt days have I had fun watching this team. And I can't wait to see these guys on Sunday. And for MF and I to get to see these guys, I mean, it's going to be a treat for us. That's all I know. 28-25, the Houston Texans defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars and take over first place in the AFC South. That's my bold prediction of Week 12 right there. Book it. So There isn't much more to say. Good old MF Michael Fletcher. When the schedule came out in May, there was a certain game in Philadelphia that was like, oh yeah, those two guys will be all over that one. Nope. We got this one. You wanted this one, and I don't blame you. The Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans, first place in the South to the winner. There isn't anything left for me to say except what I always say. As to Phil Simms to my Jim Nance, do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
This was when you look at this matchup at the very beginning on paper, you're thinking there's no possible way we're going to be doing this game. Normally, how many Houston Texans games have we ever done in our career? Not many.
Not too many.
Not too many. Jacksonville Jaguars, we haven't done many Jacksonville Jaguars games either, especially in the last few years. But this is an exciting matchup because you're talking about two exciting quarterbacks when you're talking about, when you got Trevor Lawrence on one side, you got CJ Stroud on the other end, and they're explosive. They're dominating the way that they're doing it. They're making everything look amazing. And then not only that, but you also got to give a lot of love to D'Amico Ryan, man. This guy should be and could be the coach of the year in the NFL. That's how good the Texans have been. So, going into this, I kind of have to feel like, the momentum is with the Texans. Not only the past history, but the way they've been playing lately. I actually agree with Anthony Florio. I'm going with the Houston Texans to win the game. I think it's going to be an exciting matchup. 24-17 is my prediction on that one. I got Houston winning and claiming first place in the AFC South. So, by tradition on this show, ladies and gentlemen, when one man of the crew is going, and when the crew goes against, and only one man makes a call on another team, we call it lone wolfing. Bullock.
Ow!
Favorite part of the show, Anthony Florio, it is all yours, my friend.
Damn straight.
Yeah. So I don't know how in the world I'm going to follow that, but I'll do the absolute best I can on that. Yeah, that's going to be something else, that battle. All right. We go from the game of the week to our number 7 game of the week on our side of the ledger. This came in at number 7. Cross-flex matchup. A game that got cross-flexed over to CBS. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers squaring off against the Indianapolis Colts from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. CBS has this one as well. And it'll be Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, and Amanda Renner. They will be on the call for that one. And all right, just bear with me for a moment. All right, I got it. Okay. Indianapolis opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. Indianapolis leads the all-time series 8-7. Last meeting was 2 years ago in Indianapolis. Tampa Bay won a wild one, 38-31. Matter of fact, the last 2 meetings have been high-scoring affairs. 38-31 in Indianapolis in 2021. 2019 at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay won 38-35. Bucks had won the last 2 meetings. Those were the last 2 meetings I just referred to in this one. Indy hasn't beaten Tampa Bay overall and at home since 2015, 25-12. That was at home. So let's dive on into Tampa Bay and Indianapolis here, gentlemen. Our number 7 game of the week right here. The matchup of the Colts' struggling run defense versus the Buccaneers' anemic rushing offense presents an interesting situation. Indianapolis, in the absence of suspended standout nose tackle Grover Stewart, has allowed an average of 154 rushing yards in its last 4 games. Tampa Bay, meanwhile, ranks last in rushing yards, 769, and yards per carry, 3.1, putting more stress on quarterback Baker Mayfield in the passing game. Will one of these teams break their long-running trends? The Buccaneers will have a 100-yard rusher and running back Rachaad White for the first time since his Week 10 performance against Seattle last year. In their last 4 games, the Colts have surrendered more rushing yards than any team in the league. White's season high has been 73 yards against Chicago and Houston. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor has gone 10 straight games without going over 100 rushing yards, longest streak of his career. His last 100-yard game was also week 10 of last season. The X Factor, Buccaneers left guards Matt Feeler or Aaron Stinney. The Colts have a sneaky decent pass rush led by DeForest Buckner, who ranks 5th with a 17% pass rush win rate at defensive tackle. He'll mostly line up opposite the left guard spot, which Stinney has been playing in Feeler's stead, while the latter has been out because of a knee injury. Either way, they have both been solid with identical 92% pass block win rates, just over average, but Buckner presents a tough challenge. Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. has averaged 9.8 targets, 72 receiving yards, and 15.8 fantasy points a game over his last 6. He faces a Buccaneer defense in Week 12 that has allowed the 4th most fantasy points a game to wide receivers. Buccaneers are 5-0 against the spread on the road this season, all as underdogs. Unders are 4-1 in those games. Indianapolis, the FPI favorite, 55%. I'm going with Indianapolis to win this one. I'm going to say 23-20. Indianapolis defeats Tampa Bay. So not much more to say there. MF, come on in. Tampa Bay, Indianapolis, our number 7 game of the week.
Yeah, not the most sexy matchup, but it will be a good matchup nonetheless. I think it will be a good game. And I'm with you. I got Indianapolis to win the game as well. I think it won't be the most dominating performance, but I do believe Indianapolis will have just enough to get the job done. So Indy wins. Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, this is not like you said, not a sexy matchup, but I still think it could be a good one. But we'll see how it all plays out. But I'm with the majority here. I am going with the Indianapolis Colts to win this one as well. So there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on to the next game.
All right, Bullock, here you go. It's your team, the New England Patriots. And they're facing a team that they know all too well, the New York Giants. Patriots and Giants one more time, MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the Meadowlands. And this game has been cross-flexed over to Fox. And Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Shannon Spake will have the call of that one. Of course, we know the history of these two teams. Those 2 Super Bowls, 42 and 46. Despite that, New England still leads the regular season all-time series 7-4. Their last meeting was 2019 in Foxborough. New England won 35-14. Last meeting in New York was 2015. New England won a great game, 27-26. MF and I had that one. Giants last beat the Patriots in the regular season in 2011, winning in Foxborough 24-20. Later that season, they went on to beat them again in Super Bowl 46. The Giants have, well, actually, no, this game's in New York. That's right. Giants haven't beaten the Patriots at home since all the way back in 1987, if you can imagine that. 17-10, the final there. So there isn't much more to say. MF, this is pretty much the Zonk game of the week on the other side of the ledger. 3-8. We got the 2-8 Patriots, 3-8 Giants. Hoofa.
Something's got to give. Look, I think the way that this has gone down has been a tale of 2 different things. For the Patriots, it was basically you knew your team was not going to be that great. However, did anybody think that they were going to be this bad? No. They knew it was bad, but not like this. And if you're the New York Giants, you want to talk about how the money had fallen. Think about this. The Giants was a playoff team about 1 year ago. They were definitely the team that nobody wanted to see. There was high expectations, and they have not delivered in the clutch at all. It's been a horrific season for the New York Giants. So, but it looks like they might have turned it around. After DeVito took over, because of the fact that, Daniel Jones suffered that season-ending injury, DeVito took over. And it looks like the Giants actually have a pulse. They have life. So if Saquon Barkley is out there, you know he's going to run wild on that New England defense. You know they're going to try to establish early and often, get Saquon going. But DeVito just has to play his game. You got the receiving core. That secondary for New England is not as great as traditionally that they normally are because there's a lot of injuries. And then whoever the quarterback is for the Patriots, if that is Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, Malik Cunningham, just go and attack. That's how you beat the Patriots. By getting in that offensive line, going after that offensive line. That line is not good. How they beat the Buffalo Bills is still beyond me. But anyway, I do believe the New York Giants will beat the New England Patriots in this game. Sorry, Michael Bullock. I got to be a professional here. I think New York just has enough to get by New England. 21-17. The G-Men takes down the Patriots. It is yours, my friend.
And you know me, guys. I'm a Patriot fan for life, and that thing is not going to change at all. Now, we knew it wasn't going to be a good season, but I don't think anybody could have predicted it to be this bad. Need I say more? And the Giants, like you said, it was a year ago. This team was a playoff team, and they got to the divisional round, and now here we are, and they are 3-8. Yeah, a lot of injuries have decimated them, and yeah, and just think, it wasn't that long ago. These two played a couple times in the Super Bowl, and now it's totally different. So, and like I said, I'm a Patriots fan for life. I always stick by my team, no matter how good or how bad they are. But as a professional, I'm sorry, Patriots. I know I'm gonna probably anger some of my fellow Patriot fans here, but as a professional, I gotta go with the New York Giants. I mean, it's just been a tough road for the Patriots, and unfortunately, that's going to continue. And unfortunately, guys, we're going to have to hear more of the same talk every week on the talk radio stations, including one guy at WEEI that I cannot, and I can't stand that much. You guys know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, Mr. Adam Jones, that pig.
Yeah, that pretty boy hair gel wearing douchebag that probably lives under a rock, probably never kissed a girl in his life. That's okay. We all have our problems. So, yeah, get the you know what out with your negativity nonsense, Adam Jones. So, nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah, I got 2 words for that guy to describe that guy: troglodyte homunculus. That's what those words are. But
what the heck does that mean?
I'll explain it to you later on. But for right now, I'll explain it to you when we have our boys' night out on Sunday night. All right, or tomorrow when we have our Ohio State Michigan chat. But anyways, this is a matchup of the league's 2 lowest scoring teams, with the Giants 13.5 points a game, holding up the rear ahead of New England's 14 points a game, even after a 31-point outburst versus Washington. Giants coach Brian Daboll insisted that undrafted rookie quarterback Tommy DeVito is improving. The Patriots will score 20 or more points for just the 3rd time this season. That is due in part to the Giants ranking 28th in the NFL in points allowed a game at 26. It has been a struggle offensively for New England, but one of the silver linings in recent weeks has been the rushing attack, and that's an area where the Giants have shown vulnerability. Opponents averaging 135 yards a game and almost 5 yards a carry. Giants edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeau had 2 sacks last week against Washington, bringing his total at 10.5 on the season. He's the first Giants player with 10-plus sacks within the team's first 11 games since Jason Pierre-Paul had 10.5 through 11 games in their Super Bowl year of 2011. The X factor, Patriots starting quarterback, whoever that may be. They have to get something going in the passing game. As long as they do, the Patriots should win this game with DeVito quarterbacking the other side. I mean, we know what happened with the Commanders, but still. Patriots wide receiver Demario Douglas has been targeted 16 times over the last 2 games, and he will play a key role for the Patriots coming out of the bye against the Giants. New York gives up the 5th most fantasy points a game to wide receivers. Patriots are 2-8 against the spread, tied with Atlanta for worst in the NFL. They are 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 games. I am not believing what I am seeing here, guys. FPI is going with New England, and they're going with New England big time. 73% FPI for New England.
Whoa!
By an average of 8.1 points.
Wow.
Well, like I said, I'm a Patriots fan, and you guys know that, but as a professional, I not 100%, 1,000% disagree with that.
That is a shocking number. That is a disrespectful number. If you're a New York Giant fan, I hope you just heard that right now. Rewind that back, send it to the Giants, because that's some bulletin board material business they just sent. Because that'll just
give them more to whoop the Patriots.
That is shocking. 71% on an average of 8 points.
73%.
So that means 7 in 10 people is picking the Patriots to win. Wow.
Yeah. 72.7% to be exact.
But, no, that's fine. Like I said,
it's still 73.
That's 73. I don't care how the hell you slice it. That's 73.
And an average of 8 points.
Yeah. So that means 7 out of 10 people who does that FPI is picking New England. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know why either. Giants win 23-13. Giants over the Patriots. And I stand corrected. I thought New England and the Giants was the real Zonk game of the week. No. This next game is actually the Zonk game of the week. It's our final early game of the week. There's only 6 early games this week before we get into the 4 late games that we'll have. This is the Zonk game of the week, and it's on Fox. The Carolina Panthers squaring off against the Tennessee Titans from Nissan Stadium in Nashville. And on the call for that one will be Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink. I forgot to mention New England is opening up as a 3.5-point favorite as well against the Giants. As is the, I believe Tennessee is also a 3.5. Yes, Tennessee also opening as a 3.5-point favorite here against Carolina. And the series history between these two, it favors, just a moment here. Still got to go quite a ways up here. All right. For Carolina and Tennessee, it favors, actually, no, it's tied. It's tied 3-3. 3-3 series tied. So whoever wins this game takes the series lead. Carolina, I believe, has won the last 2 meetings. They won the last 2 meetings in a row. Last meeting was 2019 in Charlotte. Carolina won 30-20. Last meeting in Nashville, 2015. Carolina won 27-10. Tennessee last beat Carolina overall in 2011, a 30-3 beatdown in Charlotte. Last win in Tennessee was 2007, 20-7. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, come on in. The Zonk game of the week overall, the Carolina Panthers and the Tennessee Titans. Bullock, you lead off, your thoughts.
Yeah, this is an easy game for me to call. I mean, this is our Zonk game of the week. I don't see Carolina hanging around here. I got the Tennessee Titans winning this one, so there's really nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
This game will be a battle of rookie quarterbacks. Bryce Young and the Panthers offense are facing a Tennessee defense that is giving up 230 passing yards a game. Titans quarterback Will Levis will have a tougher task with Carolina's 6th-ranked pass defense, allowing 179 yards a game. This matchup will come down to which of the young quarterbacks outshines the other. Second-round draft pick Levis will throw for more than 250 yards and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions. And number 1 overall pick Young will again struggle to reach 200 passing yards. Levis, who has 857 passing yards and 6 passing touchdowns through 4 career starts, would be the 4th quarterback in Titans franchise history with at least 8 touchdown throws and 1,000 passing yards through 5 career starts. Titans running back Derrick Henry has 4 rushing touchdowns this season, his fewest through 10 team games since 2018. He is averaging 66 rushing yards a game after averaging at least 95 in each of the previous 4 seasons. The X factor is the Carolina Panthers offensive line. Carolina had the worst pass block win rate in Week 11, and Ikem Ekwonu ranks last in the metric among tackles over the last 4 weeks. Young is not playing well, but the line isn't helping. In his last 2 games, Derrick Henry has scored a total of 8.4 fantasy points. The Denver Broncos are the only other team to give up more fantasy points a game than Carolina. The matchup is perfect for the Titans running back to bounce back, but can he take advantage? 4 straight Panthers games have gone under the total. Also, they are one of 2 teams to be underdogs in every game entering this week, the Arizona Cardinals being the other. 62% going with the Tennessee Titans in the FPI by an average of almost 4 points. I'm going with the Tennessee Titans to win this one. Ugly game, but I think Tennessee will win it. 21-13, Tennessee over Carolina. MF, take it home for the early games.
Yeah, absolutely. And you actually talked about it. Derrick Henry. Look, a few years ago, we were saying this guy going to go over 2,000 yards. And now we're even wondering that can he make it to 1,000? I mean, that's how crazy it's been for Derrick Henry. Injuries galore. And obviously the way that they're handling him now, it almost makes us wonder what's going on with Derrick Henry. But at the end of the day, I do believe Tennessee will get the job done. I think they should bounce back and get a nice win here. So nothing more to say. Anthony, let's start with the late games.
We got 4 of them. We got 2 4:05 games on Fox and 2 4:25 games on CBS. In the 4:05 window, we started off with an NFC West divisional matchup, second meeting between these two. It is the Los Angeles Rams squaring off against the Arizona Cardinals. State Farm Stadium, formerly the University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, on Fox. Chris Myers, Robert Smith, and Jen Hale will be on the call for that one. And the spread favors the Rams. Rams opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. Second meeting, of course, they met earlier this season. The Rams won that one going away 26-9 at SoFi. So I do believe the Rams lead this all-time series. Yes, they do. They add to that series lead. It's now 47-40 with 2 ties. The Rams winning in LA. Last year in Arizona, the Rams won 20-12. Matter of fact, the Rams have actually done very well in Arizona. I mean, oh my goodness, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Rams have won the last 8 meetings in a row in Arizona. The Cardinals have not beaten the Rams at home since all the way back in 2014. 2014, the last time the Cardinals beat the Rams at home. And those Rams were still in St. Louis, so by the way. That's how long it's been. That was a 31-14 final then. But right now, let's get into the Rams and the Cardinals here to start the late action. Both quarterbacks, Arizona's Kyler Murray and LA's Matthew Stafford, are out to prove something. Stafford has struggled, throwing 9 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. Murray, on the other hand, will be playing his 3rd game since returning from ACL surgery and is trying to find a consistent rhythm and another win. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua will have 7 catches for 150 yards. Nakua's worst game of the season came in Week 6 against Arizona, when he had only 4 catches for 26 yards. But if Cooper Kupp, with a sprained right ankle, does not play, expect Nacua to be the focus, especially against a Cardinal defense that ranks 29th in pass DVOA. Rams are averaging 19.5 points a game through 10 games this season. Their second lowest mark through 10 games since Sean McVay took over as head coach in 2017, and have scored 20 or fewer points in 4 straight games. A fifth straight under 20-point performance would tie for the longest streak under Sean McVay, which was set in weeks 8 to 12 of last season. The X Factor, Cardinals guards Will Hernandez and Carter O'Donnell. They'll be tasked with stopping Aaron Donald, but there are some promising signs here. Hernandez ranks 7th in pass block win rate, 95% among guards, and in limited work, O'Donnell has had a 94% pass block win rate, right in the same ballpark. The Cardinals defense gives up the 6th most fantasy points a game to quarterbacks. Rams are 12-2 against the spread against Arizona under coach Sean McVay, including the playoffs, 11-2 against the spread in the regular season, but they're also 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games. But the FPI loves the LA Rams, 66% going with the Rams by an average of 5.5 points. I'm going with the Rams. Close game, low scoring game, but I think the Rams will eke it out here. 20-17, the LA Rams over the Arizona Cardinals. So, MF, your thoughts on the Rams and Arizona lead off the late action?
Yeah, no, safe bet, safe matchup, no doubt about it. I'll go with the Rams as well. I like what they bring to the table. Cardinals, like I said, they've been so up and down. They had that one great game when Kyler Murray made his return. They won that game, but ever since then, it hasn't been that great. Yes, they shown glimpses of better on offense, but the defense is still struggling, no doubt about it. So I'm with you on this one. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams to win as well. And Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Bullock, are you there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going with the LA Rams as well. I mean, look, Arizona was, like you said, was good when Kyler Murray returned, and then all of a sudden, it's like they're back to the same thing. So until I see something that shows me that Arizona's got a chance, I got to go with the LA Rams. So it's yours, Florio.
All right. The other half of the 405, the other 405 game on Fox, across flex, and yeah, this is a good one here. We got the what I believe will be this is the sleeper game of the week. You could make an argument this might be the sleeper game of the year. We got the Cleveland Browns squaring off against the Denver Broncos from Empower Field at Mile High in Denver. On Fox, Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, and Laura Oakman. Denver opening up as a 1.5 point favorite. Denver leads the all-time series 21-7. And the last time they met in 2021, when they met in Cleveland, Cleveland actually won that game by a score of 17-14. Last meeting in Denver was 2019. Denver won 24-19. Cleveland last won in Denver the year before that, 2018. That was a 17-16 final. All right, MF, Cleveland and Denver. How about this matchup? Two teams that we weren't expecting big things from. I mean, Cleveland, despite no Deshaun Watson, they still beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Denver Broncos, man, they started 1-5. They beat Green Bay. Then they beat Kansas City. Then they stole one in Buffalo. And then they cooled off a red-hot Viking team at the last second. So, man, you want to talk about something that's got to give. Something that's got to give here. Does Cleveland keep up their magic run, or does Denver keep this hot train going? They won 4. Can they make it 5?
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is one of those. If you don't watch this game on Sunday, you're gonna be sorely missing something really good. This could be one of, like you said, sleeper matchup of the week. And the thing is, Denver plays really well at home. They really do. As the Kansas City Chiefs, they went over to Kansas City. Kansas City went over to Denver, and they walked away with a big fat L that day. So, look, Denver is one of those teams where at the very beginning, they were the punching bag of the NFL. Remember, this is still this team that got 70 dropped on their heads by the Miami Dolphins. And all of a sudden, ever since that game, they turned it around. They started playing a lot more better. They started being a lot more focused. Offensively, defensively, they gotten better. Now, Cleveland's always had a very good defense. They got a strong defense. Myles Garrett, I mean, we're talking defensive player of the year candidate here with this guy. Game disruptor, game wrecker, any chance he can get. But the way Denver's been playing, man, with Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson, man, I gotta say it. I like Russ. I like Denver. I think they win. They win at home. I think I'll call for 5 in a row. I'll give it. Tight game, close game. 27-23. The Denver Broncos knock off the Cleveland Browns and keeps this hot streak going. So, yeah, Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me to decide because, Cleveland showed its resilience when they won last week, and then Denver is definitely they've been on a hotter tear, so something's got to give here. But I'm gonna say make it 5 in a row for Denver. I got the Denver Broncos winning this one, so it's yours, Florio.
Yeah. The Broncos are on a 4-game winning streak, but the offense can't seem to find a rhythm, even though quarterback Russell Wilson has played winning football. Wilson is tied for third in touchdown passes at 19 and leads the league in both winning drives and fourth quarter comebacks. But recapturing that rhythm and keeping Wilson out of harm's way will be a tall order, given the Browns' Myles Garrett leads the league in sacks with 13. And Cleveland sacks opposing quarterbacks on an NFL most 12.5% of pass attempts. The Browns are also tops in the league in total defense and pass defense, as well as 6th in scoring defense. Cleveland will win another game with another last-second drive in Denver. The Browns will then have a franchise record 4 victories this season off a winning drive in the final 2 minutes of regulation. Broncos receiver Courtland Sutton has 5 straight games with a receiving touchdown, the longest streak by a Bronco player since 2014 when Julius Thomas had 5 straight, and one shy of tying the longest streak in Broncos history, done 5 previous times, most recently by an old friend of both MF and Bullock, that being Wes Welker in 2013. The X factor is Broncos cornerback Pat Surtain II. If Surtain can contain wide receiver Amari Cooper, that hurts an already diminished Browns offense without Deshaun Watson. Browns defense gives up only 0.9 passing touchdowns a game. When it comes to Wilson and the Broncos pass catchers, temper your expectations. All 4 Browns road games have gone over the total this season, but 5 straight Broncos games have gone under. Despite the fact that you guys that we're leaning towards Denver here, the FPI actually likes Cleveland, but it's not much though. 52% going with Cleveland by an average of 0.9 points. But I got to go with the Denver Broncos right now, especially after what they did in Buffalo a couple of weeks ago, and then that last-second win over Minnesota last Sunday night. I gotta go with Denver. 27-24. I got the Denver Broncos defeating the Cleveland Browns. We move on to the late games on our side of the ledger, 425, and we got 2 good ones here. Both of these games are good. One a little more than the other, but they're both good as far as I'm concerned. Started off with our number 4 game of the week, an AFC West divisional matchup. The Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the Las Vegas Raiders from the home of Super Bowl 58 next February, that being Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. MF's boy, Kevin Harlan. It'll be Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins on the call. Kansas City opening up as a 9.5-point favorite. Kansas City leads the all-time series 70-53 with 2 ties. And Kansas City has won the last 5 in a row against Vegas. They've beaten the Raiders 5 straight times. Kansas City won in Las Vegas last year, 31-13. The Raiders have not beaten the Chiefs at home since they were the Oakland Raiders back in 2017. 31-30. Last time they beat the Chiefs overall was 2020 when they stole one in Arrowhead, 40-32. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, I believe you start this one off. So your thoughts on hold on. I just want to make sure I have the right order here. Bear with me for one moment.
No, I think you had it right.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yep, I do. Yep, it is. All right. Yes, Bullock, it is yours. So yep, Michael Bullock does in fact lead off. I do have the order right. I just wanted to double check and make sure. All right, Bullock. First meeting of the year, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders last week, they gave MF's Dolphins some major fits. But the Kansas City Chiefs, well, it looks like they are human after all. They lost at home to the Philadelphia Eagles last Monday night. Now what?
Yeah, that was a tough loss for them. I mean, the one thing that really hurt them were the drop passes. The drop passes were the ones that really killed them, including one that could have basically I think, tied the game. But you could just see the frustration on Patrick Mahomes' face. I think it's just up to these. I mean, yes, Travis Kelce is the primary guy, but you got to have other guys step up and be able to catch the ball here. So, in Vegas, I mean, they gave the Dolphins all they could handle, but in the end, it wasn't enough. But I expect the Kansas City Chiefs to bounce back and win this one after such a tough loss. So, Kansas City wins. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah. The personal in-game battle between Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes and Raiders edge rusher Max Crosby is one to watch. Since Crosby entered the league in 2019, the Chiefs have won 7 of 8 meetings against the Raiders, and Mahomes has thrown for 2,464 yards with 21 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions in those games. But 3 of Crosby's 4 sacks and 3 of his 9 quarterback hits against Mahomes came last season. The Chiefs will play a 4th straight second half without scoring a point. Between penalties, drop passes, and turnovers, they've shown no signs of resolving any of their many issues. Meanwhile, the Raiders have allowed an average of 13 points a game since making their coaching change, so they're capable of giving the struggling Chiefs plenty of problems. Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce has 11 career touchdown catches against the Raiders, his most against any team. Only the legendary Antonio Gates at 13 and Hall of Famer Steve Largent with 12 have more against the Raiders. And the only active player with more touchdown catches against any single opponent is Davante Adams, who had 13 against Minnesota. The X factor is Chiefs cornerback L'Jarius Sneed. Last week, he traveled with A.J. Brown, so there's a decent chance he'll do the same for Adams. If so, that could be tough news for the Raiders. Sneed is allowing just 1 yard per coverage snap per NFL Next Gen stats, better than average for outside corners. And Brown finished last week's game against the Chiefs with just 1 catch. Mahomes' wide receivers are dropping 9.2% of passes. In the last 10 seasons, this is the highest rate for any quarterback through 10 games, even though the Raiders' secondary is far from elite. Las Vegas has allowed the 13th fewest fantasy points a game to wide receivers. The Raiders are 3-0 against the spread under interim coach Antonio Pierce. The Chiefs are 13-7 against the Raiders under coach Andy Reid, 17-3 outright. 86% going with the Kansas City Chiefs by an average of 14.2 points. I think it's going to be closer than you think, but I still got the Kansas City Chiefs winning this game. 24-16. I got the Kansas City Chiefs knocking off the Vegas Raiders in Vegas. So not much more to say. MF, Chiefs and Raiders, number 4 game of the week. Something's got to give here. Raiders gave your Dolphins fits, and we saw it this past Monday night. Kansas City is human. They lost to Philly.
Yeah, they are. They are. No doubt about it. Look, the Raiders are going to start. Look, you saw it. You saw what they were doing against Miami. They roughed them up a little bit, man. They had me a little. This Raider team had me annoyed. And normally when I'm annoyed, when I get annoyed after a game like that, that means you're really good. You're really good. You really impressed me. Because I'm not that hard to impress, and whenever I'm fortunate, where I'm like, ooh, that was a good game, but damn it, I'm mad because of my team playing so poorly. That means this Raider team is going to be a problem. And I even told my boy Ed Williams, I'm like, yo, I hope they make him I hope they make Antonio Pierce the permanent head coach of the Raiders because he deserves it. Because damn it, you guys threw the kitchen sink at us and almost got away with it. So I think the Chiefs are gonna win it because they're angry. They're mad. They know they let one get away. They had Philly dead to rights. If it wasn't for that Marquez Valdez-Scantling drop at the end, we might be talking about Kansas City winning that game. But hey, it is what it is. Nothing more to say. I got to go with Kansas City, and now it leads us to, in many people's eyes, the main event of the week. However, on our ledger, this is only the second best game of the week. But boys, this is a heavyweight championship fight if there ever was one. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, I thought for sure this was going to be our game, but I mean, you can make an argument it could be, but it's not. MF wanted the Jacksonville Houston game, and I'm not gonna argue with him over it. But here you go. It's the number 2 game of the week overall. It is my Buffalo Bills squaring off against the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles, Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, 4:25 on CBS. Hello, friends. For the second time this week, Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, they will be in Philly for this one. Philadelphia opening up as a 3-point favorite. No surprise there. Philadelphia leads the all-time series 8-6. Philly's won the last 2 meetings against Buffalo. Last meeting was 2019 in Buffalo. Philly won going away 31-13. Last meeting in Philadelphia, 2015. Philadelphia won a close one, 23-20. Buffalo hasn't beaten Philadelphia overall since 2011. That was in Buffalo. They won 31-24. Buffalo hasn't won in Philadelphia since all the way back in 1996. That was when the Eagles were playing at the old Veterans Stadium. That's how long it's been since Buffalo's won in Philly. That was in 1996. Buffalo won that game 24-17. So here we go, boys. Going into the season, you would think this could have been a possible Super Bowl preview. It still could be. You never know. It still could be. You never ever know. Stranger things have happened. The Bills are averaging more yards a game than the Eagles and have a plus 104-point differential compared to plus 61 for Philly. But Buffalo has 5 more giveaways on the season and has lost all of its games by 6 points or fewer, while the Eagles have found a way to win the close ones. Josh Allen's interception streak will come to an end. Despite facing the team with the best record on the road, Allen's career-high 7-game stretch with at least 1 interception in each game will come to a close. The offense and Allen's confidence took a big step in the right direction against the New York Jets, and that will continue in this big game. Plus, while the Eagles' defense has plenty to give the Bills a tough day, it has recorded only 5 interceptions this season, tied for the second fewest in the NFL. Josh Allen has 7 games with a passing and rushing touchdown this season, while Philadelphia's Jalen Hurts has 6. Only 4 quarterbacks have ever had 8 such games in a season, and the record is 9 by Arizona's Kyler Murray in 2020. The X factor, Buffalo cornerback Rasul Douglas. He has provided a badly needed boost for the banged up Bills defense and has allowed just 0.8 yards per coverage snap and recorded 2 interceptions in his 3 games with Buffalo. The Eagles' running game holds a significant advantage with DeAndre Swift against a Bills defensive front that ranks 16th in run stop win rate. Swift has averaged 18 touches and almost 15 fantasy points a game this season. The Bills' Josh Allen is 11-5-1 against the spread as a road underdog in his career. For the second time tonight, we have a questionable FPI here, guys. They actually like Buffalo in this one. And I'm like, when I saw this, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Buffalo is an FPI favorite here? It's not as bad as the Patriots, though. 56% for Buffalo. 56%. by an average of 2 points. Now, you know me.
I think the reason why, Anthony, before you get into it, I think the reason why is because this is the history of Buffalo. They always play good against the top elite teams. And
Yeah, we do.
they might be thinking, Philly got fortunate over Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going home on a shorter week. Maybe this is the moment where Buffalo catches them. I mean, this would be a good opportunity to catch a good team. You want to stay close in it. If you want to stay close to have a shot at the AFC Eastern Division title, you need this game.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt we need this game. No question. All right. What I was going to say is, you know me. I'm a Bills fan for life. Just like Michael Bullock earlier, you heard what Bullock said about the Patriots, about how he's a Patriots fan for life. I'm a Bills fan for life. And I'm going to stick by my team no matter how good or bad they are. And we saw it last week. A week after they fired Ken Dorsey, Ken Dorsey was out, Joe Brady was in, and you saw the change. They got back to basics and then some. And they pounded the Jets 32-6 in Buffalo last week. It's a good thing we didn't have our boys' night out last week, because if we had, you would have had to have that smile surgically removed off my face, because that's how happy I was. You would have had to hose me down. But this time around, we got ourselves a good one here. And you know me, you know I want to go with my team. I really, really do. But I just have this feeling about Philly. Philly is the best team right now, record-wise. They're 9-1. Philly is not an easy place to win, Lincoln Financial Field. I mean, the last time Buffalo won there, they were playing at the old vet. It was at the old Veterans Stadium in 96. That's the last time Buffalo won in Philadelphia. 24-17. Jim Kelly was still the quarterback. We still had our core guys back then. We still had Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed and all them boys back in 96. But this ain't 96, and none of those guys are walking through that door. But I'll tell you what. I mean, I still don't have confidence. I mean, I still think Philly's going to steal this one. I mean, you know me personally. I want Buffalo to win this game. I want to pick Buffalo to win this game. But I just can't do it. Maybe against Kansas City, I might feel a little more confident. I have a little more confidence about the Kansas City game. We'll get into that in a couple of weeks. But for right now, I just have this feeling about Philly. But if Buffalo were to steal one here, this would be monumental for the Buffalo Bills, especially with everything that we've been through recently, with all the struggles we had, and then that coming out party against the Jets when we absolutely exploded on them, made me happy. I'm hoping they can do it again, but I still have doubts. I would love for you boys to prove me wrong. I really would, but at the same time, I got to be a professional here. I got to be realistic. I got to go with Philly in this one. 28-21, Philadelphia over Buffalo. But if Buffalo were to win, oh my goodness, how monumental would that be? That would be as monumental a win as we've had in a very long time. So I would love for that. I would love for it to happen, but I still have doubts. What happened last week is not going to happen this week. I'll tell you that right now. It's not. If it did, whoa, but it's not. 28-21 Philly, but MF, don't sleep on Buffalo, especially after what they did against the Jets. You saw what happened. They got their identity back. They got rid of Dorsey. Brady came in, and they got back to basics and then some. Philly, coming off a big win over Kansas City on the road, got their revenge from the Super Bowl. Something's got to give here. Philly trying to get to that number one seed in the NFC, where Buffalo looking to keep pace in that loaded AFC playoff race.
Yeah, this is a must-win for both teams. Especially, it's more of a must-win for Buffalo than it is for Philadelphia. Philly could afford a loss because, remember, they only have one loss. The next best team is right now the 49ers, and they got 3. So if they lose a game, that's like a no harm, no foul. For Buffalo, though, they cannot afford a loss here because the more losses you start gaining, the worse it's going to be for your team to try to possibly make a playoff push. And on top of that, your schedule does not get any easier. You still got to deal with Kansas City. You still got to go with that rejuvenated Dallas Cowboys. And at some point, you're going to run into that Miami Dolphin team at the end of the year. So that's 4 games coming up that I don't like your chances right now, Anthony. I got to be real honest with you if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. So you have to play the best game. Hopefully that Ken Dorsey firing and the Joe Brady hiring was the spark that started it all for Buffalo. But I don't know, man. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he might not be at 100%, but you still got that core, man. And that receiving core, the defense is top notch. And in second or third or short yardage, or if you get close to that end zone, you're going to see the brotherly shove. Can you stop it? I don't think you can. Nobody has figured it out yet. So I feel like Philadelphia will win this game, and I do believe it will be close, but I think Philly will just have enough to get over the hump to knock off the Buffalo Bills. I think it will be low scoring too. My final score is 17-13. The Philadelphia Eagles. Michael Bullock on cue. It's yours.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Buffalo got a big win last week against the Jets, but now they got to be tested against the Eagles. Yeah, if Buffalo can somehow pull this off, it would be a humongous win for them. But I just don't see it happening. Philly's just too good right now. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Buffalo Bills. So, with that being said, Florio, I think it's on to Sunday Night Football.
Yes, it is, and it's our number 5 game of the week. This game came in at number 5 on our side of the ledger. Good matchup here, as it will be the Baltimore Ravens squaring off against the Los Angeles Chargers, SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, on NBC. One small noticeable change when it comes to this. You still got Mike Tirico. You still got Melissa Stark. No Chris Collinsworth. It's going to be Mike Tirico, Jason Garrett, and Melissa Stark. Chris Collinsworth worked the game last night with San Francisco and Seattle. So no Collinsworth on Sunday night. It'll be Mike Tirico, Jason Garrett, and Melissa Stark for the Ravens and the Chargers on Sunday Night Football in LA. Let's see. Baltimore opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. Baltimore leads the all-time series 8-5. Their last meeting was 2021 in Baltimore. Baltimore won going away 34-6. Last meeting in LA was 2018. Baltimore won 22-10. Last time the Chargers beat the Ravens overall was that AFC wildcard game in January of 2019, 23-17 in Baltimore. They last beat Baltimore in the regular season, 2014, a wild 34-33 game in Baltimore. They haven't beaten the Chargers at home since they were the San Diego Chargers in 2011, 34-14. So not much more to say here. MF, come on in. Ravens and Chargers, our number 5 game of the week. Baltimore taking over that number 1 seed in the AFC. They got Kansas City breathing down their necks, though. They're going up against a game, but tough luck LA Charger team. Here we go. Same old Chargers again. I mean, they're a good team, but they can't these
get
tough
over
luck
the hump.
losses, man. They lead the league
Yeah.
in tough luck losses over the last, how many years?
Yeah. And by the way, correction, Anthony Florio, the Miami Dolphins are now the number 1 team in the AFC. They now take over the top spot only for now.
Right.
Because
Baltimore
of the
wins,
fact,
then they're back.
Yeah, if Baltimore wins, then they're back on top. Or if I believe if Kansas City wins, Kansas City leapfrogs Miami as well because of the head-to-head of that win in Germany. So obviously, with everything going on right now, Baltimore is definitely the favorite going in. Lamar Jackson looks like the MVP candidate. That defense is really stout. You're thinking great things about that team. I get it why the Chargers are so like it's like you just don't understand it. How on earth does this happen time after time after time? They play great for 3 quarters. They play hard. They play great. It looks like it's gonna be a back and forth fight. If it turns into a dog fight, some way somehow they fall apart at the end, and you're like, what is up with the Chargers, man? What, like, how many times do we have to go through this song and dance? Well, I hate to say it, get ready for another one of those because it's gonna happen again. I think it will happen again. I got Baltimore winning closer than what the experts have it. I'll say it, 27-24. I think the Ravens eke out the victory, rip the Chargers' hearts out yet again. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good one here. I think this could be a tight one here. So, man, I mean, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens as well. I mean, Lamar Jackson's looking like that MVP type quarterback. The defense is playing well. So, yeah, I expect that momentum to continue. So, it's yours, Florio.
This is a matchup between arguably the NFL's best and hold on one moment. It went up on me here. All right, one moment. Okay. This is a matchup between arguably the NFL's best and worst defense. The Chargers are the worst team in the NFL against the pass, allowing 292 yards a game. Second worst in total yards allowed a game, 394, and completions allowed a game, 27. Meanwhile, Baltimore ranks in the top 3 in multiple defensive categories. Points a game, 16. Passing yards allowed a game, 170. And total yards a game allowed, 274. The last time the Ravens faced the Chargers was in 2021, Coach Brandon Staley's first season. Baltimore won going away 34-6. Ravens rookie wide receiver Zay Flowers will have his first 100-yard receiving game. Flowers, Baltimore's number 1 target, has not surpassed 78 yards receiving in a game this season, but should get even more opportunities after Mark Andrews' season-ending ankle injury. The Chargers have allowed 5 wide receivers to record at least 80 yards receiving in the last 6 games. Detroit's Amon-Ra St. Brown at 156 yards, Dallas's CeeDee Lamb at 117, Dontavian Wicks at 91, Kansas City's Marquez Valdez-Scantling at 84, and the New York Jets' Garrett Wilson at 80. Both Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert have excelled outside the pocket and off play action, ranking top 5 in QBR in both. But while the Ravens defense ranks top 5 in opponent QBR in both areas, the Chargers D is in the bottom 2, including worst in opponent QBR outside the pocket. The X factor is Ravens tight end Isaiah Likely. He's filling some large shoes with Andrews out, but he's stepping in against a team that has trouble stopping the pass, so he could produce right away. Jackson faces a Charger defense that has given up the second most fantasy points a game to quarterbacks. Jackson has averaged 18 fantasy points a game on the road this season, and the Charger defense allows wide receivers to score the second most fantasy points a game. 7 of the last 8 Charger games have gone under the total, yet 4 of the last 5 Raven games have gone over the total. 56% for Baltimore in the FPI, average of 2 points. Close game, but I think Baltimore pulls it out. Baltimore wins 27-23. So we move on to our final game of the night, Monday Night Football on ESPN. The Chicago Bears squaring off against the Minnesota Vikings, US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters, and give me one moment. Whoop. I did it again. All right. Minnesota opening up as a 3-point favorite. They met earlier this season in Chicago. Minnesota won the game 19-13. So Minnesota adds to their series lead 66-56 with 2 ties. Games in Minnesota. Minnesota won last year in Minnesota 29-22. They also won in 2021, 31-17. Chicago last won in Minnesota in 2020, 33-27. So that's the story there. Michael Bullock, you started off on our final game of the week, Monday Night Football, the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. Your thoughts?
Oh, all right. Well, what was the game again?
Monday Night Football, Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Minnesota will somehow beat the Chicago Bears team. I mean, look, Chicago. I mean, they've played all right, but the thing is, it's just I still don't trust this team. So I got the Minnesota Vikings winning this one. So it's yours, Florio.
This game could turn on whether the Viking defense can contain the running of quarterback Justin Fields, who rushed for 46 yards on 8 carries on 35 total snaps in the team's Week 6 game before he departed because of a dislocated finger. The Vikings have played exceptionally well on defense over the last 2 months, but they have the NFL's 6th worst success rate against quarterback runs at 35%. Vikings will extend their win streak over their NFC North opponent to 6. The second most consecutive wins they've had over the Bears in franchise history. They had 8 from 1972 to 1976, with their third one-score victory in their last 4 games. Joshua Dobbs will lead Minnesota from behind in the final 2 minutes of the game and hit tight end Josh Oliver for the winning touchdown. Minnesota's TJ Hawkinson leads all tight ends in catches, 75, and receiving yards, 736. He needs 9 more catches for the most in a season by a Viking tight end. Kyle Rudolph had 83 in 2016. The X Factor, Bears cornerbacks Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson. Johnson has the third lowest yards per coverage snap allowed, 0.9 among outside corners, per NFL Next Gen stats. And while Stevenson has struggled for most of it this year, he's coming off a very strong Week 11. Perhaps they can shut down this Dobbs-led Vikings passing attack. The Bears defense gives up the 6th most fantasy points a game to tight ends. That's good news for Hawkinson. Vikings are 5-0 outright and 4-1 against the spread against Chicago since 2021. 62% going with Minnesota by an average of 4 points. I'm going with Minnesota. 27-19, Minnesota over Chicago. Take us home, MF.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the Minnesota Vikings will win the game. I love what Joshua Dobbs has done since joining Minnesota. He has had a great run, no doubt about it. He reminds me of that Joshua Dobbs from the days of Tennessee when he was a Tennessee Volunteer. Watching him in the SEC was a very electric and exciting player. Got a couple of great moments with Arizona. But man, when they made that trade, when Minnesota was forced to make the trade to get Josh Dobbs to join the Vikings after Kirk Cousins went down with that injury, and they have not missed a beat. That's the thing that's unbelievable, what Dobbs has done for Minnesota. I mean, he's become quite the miracle worker over there. Call him the Minnesota Miracle Man, like Gordon Bombay of the Mighty Ducks movies. That's what they called them. So, you know what? If he keeps becoming that Minnesota Miracle Man, who knows? We might be talking about the Minnesota Vikings as maybe the NFC Northern Division contenders. I mean, with a win here, that would put them at least, about a game out from Detroit? So, I mean, yeah, without a doubt. Minnesota wins, and Anthony, let's call it a night.
And we will do indeed that. That will put the bow on this Week 12 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. MF, any word on that Survivor Series recap Sunday night? Is that what it is? Just want to be 100% sure on that. All right. Tomorrow night, we will not have a show because we'll be watching the Survivor Series, of course. I do believe we do have a recap show in order. I do believe that'll be Sunday night, I think, around 10 p.m. or so. I do believe that's the plan for that, unless it changes, but I don't know. What I do know is Monday night we have Ridiculously Raw, right here on the Zone 25. Monday Night Raw, the fallout from Survivor Series, Tony's Take, Impact Wrestling, and NXT Level Up. And then Wednesday, we got Wednesday night, the return of Wednesday Night Madness with MF. We got NXT, we got AEW Dynamite, and we have a Thursday night football preview, the Seattle Seahawks and the Dallas Cowboys. Good game there. And then from there, Thursday night, the season finale. Can you believe this? The season finale of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday, championship week. Georgia and Alabama in the SEC championship game. We got the Pac-12 championship, the Big Ten championship, the power conferences and among other things. That'll be on Thursday night. And then 1 week from tonight, the Week 13 edition of NFL Friday. We not too many exciting games, if I'm going to be honest with you. We got a meh week coming up. Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, Chicago Bears, Las Vegas Raiders, Minnesota Vikings, and New York Giants will all be on bye next week. Seattle and Dallas recap. We don't really not too many exciting games, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. We do have the Detroit Lions going up against the New Orleans Saints. That's a good game. I'll consider the Miami Dolphins and the Washington Commanders. That's a so-so game right there. Cleveland Browns against the Los Angeles Rams. Hands down the game of the week, the rematch of the NFC Championship game, the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. This game could be our game of the week next week. You never know on our side. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers. We might have to keep an eye on that one. And also the Cincinnati Bengals and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But not too many exciting games, but those are just some of the, because we got a lot of black games next week, to be honest with you. So, but we'll get into it next Friday night, and that is it. So until Sunday night, maybe, for our Survivor Series recap or whatever it is, Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock, and of course, in spirit, always and forever, the First Lady Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed weekend. And until maybe Sunday night for our Survivor Series recap, people watching the Week 12 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube and streamy.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.